Hey, it's Sarah with Life with Training Wheels here for your November 2025 astrology forecast. So, November has this really beautiful water Grand Trine going on the entire month long. This is the potential for very beautiful healing energy. Water is very healing energy. It's very intuitive. It is very emotional. So perhaps November can be more emotional for many of us, but it also gives us the chance, because the water signs are Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio, right? So Pisces is about the collective oneness, the spirituality. It's about our emotional connection with spirit, with those realms outside of ourselves, with the bigger universal collective consciousness, I guess, where we have one love, compassion for all, things of that nature. And then Cancer is a more personal water sign. That's our inner emotional landscape. It's where we go and what we need to feel safe within our own body, within our own energetic sphere, I guess. And then Scorpio is the water sign that wants transformation, that wants that depth, that wants to dig for the truth for things, that wants to go into the darkness and bring light to it so that it can be healed. So anywhere where we feel shame or guilt or fear, Scorpio wants to heal it. It's also, vulnerability. How vulnerable can we be with ourselves, as well as how vulnerable can we be with other people? So there's this trine, this grand trine between all of these things, and trines are very beneficial. Trines are where things flow with ease. So all of November, number one, we're being asked to go with the flow, literally, but also perhaps bringing a lot of ease to us in 3 areas of our life. Wherever you find Pisces, Scorpio, and Cancer, things should be working and moving smoothly all month long between those things. And it's fascinating because what is keeping this Grand Trine active for the whole month is the parade of personal planets that's going through Scorpio. So the sun, there's a new moon that's going to be in the activation. Mercury going direct and then going retrograde and then going direct again. And Venus are all going to be at different times during the month activating this Grand Trine, keeping it active all month long. So that is something that we are going to get into the individual forecasts, how it affects you personally, but on a collective level, it is just providing opportunity of going with the flow, of potential ease, hopefully, in the world. Yeah, the other thing that we have going on all month long is this square between Jupiter and Chiron. And Jupiter in Cancer is one of the legs of the mini Grand Trine, or the Grand Water Trine as well. And so a lot of times, to make the most of trines, you need a little bit of tension, right? Because if everything's flowing easily, you may not be capitalizing on the opportunities, because you still have to act. There's opportunities coming to you, things are flowing with ease, but to get the most out of it, sometimes you need a little activation. And the square between Jupiter and Chiron is providing that for us, along with a opposition from these parade of planets in Scorpio to Uranus in Taurus once it moves retrograde this month. So Uranus is going to be moving out of Gemini and back into Taurus until, and it'll be there until next spring. And then we also have Jupiter going retrograde this month. And then at the end of the month, Saturn will be stationing direct. It'll be the first of these outer planets to station back direct. So it is a very dynamic month, but with the Grand Water Trine, hopefully everyone does find some ease in it. On a collective level, I am really hoping that this brings opportunity to not only capitalize on, figuring out where we need to feel emotionally safe, but also being vulnerable with Scorpio to see other people's points of view, to try to understand them, build that intimacy, build that communication with other people. And then with the Pisces energy, have that universal love and compassion and bringing more of that to the world. Also with Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, I do feel like and Scorpio digging for the truth, I do feel like November is going to be a big month for more truths coming to light, no matter what sphere that's in, right? Scorpio, it doesn't matter. It's uncovering truths all over. With Pisces, looking at more of the deception that our government has had with us, or governments, or any types of institutions where they have lied to us, where they have been deceitful with us, and figuring out how we want to move forward. And hopefully, because of this Grand Trine, things will be moving smoothly with that. But with the square between Jupiter and Chiron, I think we will be, that Chiron in Aries, we're going to want to be taking our sovereignty back, because we've been duped by like every organization for way too long, and we're getting sick of it. So could be big on the world stage, but let's see how it is affecting us individually. Before I do that, though, I do just want to show how excuse me, how this is playing out literally all month long. So I have the November 1st chart up on the screen here. So here's this Grand Water Trine. Here's this square between Jupiter and Chiron. The opposition kind of here between Scorpio and Taurus, and really Scorpio and this Uranus. But we'll just go by week, and you'll see that it is there the entire. So here's November 8th. That Grand Trine is very active. That square between Jupiter and Chiron is still active. And then we move forward to November 15th. That Grand Water Trine is still on point. We still have this square between Jupiter and Chiron. Forward 1 week. November 22nd, Grand Trine, Grand Water Trine, still have that square between Jupiter and Chiron. And November 29th. So still active, this Grand Water Trine, and that square is still active. So, and the opposition you saw right here the entire month. So it is going to literally be the entire month that this is going on. So that's what we're going to be focusing on, and we'll get to the signs in just a second. If you're new here, thanks for joining. If you are returning, thank you so much for returning. Please hit like, subscribe, comment with how this resonates for you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Before we get to the individual signs, I wanted to actually go over one more thing. So if we look here, there are 4 planets that are moving less than 1 degree the entire month. So it is Jupiter, that's remaining at 24 degrees of Cancer. Saturn is remaining at 25 degrees of Pisces. Neptune is remaining at 29 degrees of Pisces. And Pluto here is remaining at 1 degree of Aquarius. So I wanted to look at the Sabian symbols for these to get what the overall feel of those degrees are for the month. So first we're going to look at Jupiter. It's in the 24 degrees, so we actually go up to 25 degrees of Cancer here. Okay, so with the Sabian symbols, you always round up. And if you don't know what the Sabian symbols are, they are, there's a meaning that was channeled, and I can't remember by who, but in the 1800s, I believe it was around 1850, there were channeled messages for each degree of the zodiac, and they are very helpful, very useful in looking at kind of the bigger picture of what's going on. So we are in Cancer. We're looking at Jupiter is remaining at 24 degrees, so we round up to 25. So 25 degrees of Cancer is the dark shadow or mantle thrown suddenly over the right shoulder. So this degree is enacting the soul's purpose. When we align worldly aims with the soul's essence vibration, we feel as though we have been blessed by divine dispensation, feeling the occasional rush of spiritual empowerment. True success is an endowment. It may feel as though one is blessed by the higher forces to carry out special cosmic purposes, but in truth, the benefactor of this endowment is our higher self, which is accessed whenever all sides of personality are mastered and brought into harmony. The inevitable outcome of this process is that we become influential over those who have imbalances, so we are then able and inclined to guide those around us toward the realization of a higher purpose. And it goes on. We have to claim a commanding influence in order to grasp a situation and pull it around. The mantle of leadership is not given to many, and these few often feel a sense of destiny. The realization occurs that we have the capacity for command at exactly the moment when circumstances unfold that require us to come forward. On the inner level, we have to come to terms with the need to claim influence and perfect talents in order to grasp the situation and pull it around. We will be thwarted in the proper expression and development of our true potentiality unless we find the strength to resist the imposition of those who would try to tame us. In fact, it is best for all concerned if we allow our width and depth of possibility to spread out, which then we can place in service to the general community. Whatever could be needs to be expressively released in order to become what it is. We may well discover a specific talent that is vital to the general welfare. Self-gratification and social integration through appropriate involvement have to be in alignment if we are to optimize our feelings of well-being and belonging, which is all about what Cancer wants. Cancer wants to figure out where we feel emotionally safe, right? Selfishness doesn't lead to happiness, yet neither does reluctant self-sacrifice, so it's finding that balance. The temptation to become presumptuous is strong, and we need to observe honestly any inclinations we might have to bend towards the dark shadow of megalomania. This would diminish our effectiveness and defeat our spiritual purpose. However, we are compelled by our very existence to step up and become who we are destined to be. This is not only for our personal rewards, it is actually the obligation of each person to participate irrevocably and fully in the reality of life around us. In outer terms, we are revealing a willingness to accept stewardship of our group's progressive ambitions and accommodate all the myriad individual viewpoints that make up the social complex. This is key. Accommodate all the myriad individual viewpoints. We all think differently, but we all have to figure out a way to come together. It is our fate to lead. If it is our fate to lead, then there is very little that could thwart us, except perhaps our own silly self-deprecation or fear of the inevitable pressure that comes as par for the course. So Jupiter is here at this degree point, expanding all of these ideas, right? Being concerned with all, stepping into our purpose, not being selfish, thinking of others, understanding and knowing that we are here at this point in time for a purpose. And I think this month is giving us an opportunity to kind of feel into, water signs are very internal, so feel into what that is, what will bring us happiness, right? It's not selfishness and it's not self-sacrifice. It's somewhere between the two. And what makes us feel good inside. That's what this is, and Jupiter is expanding that this month. Okay, so now we are going to look at where Saturn is. It's going to be between 25 and 26 degrees of Pisces all month long. So we look at Pisces 26, which is a new moon that divides its influences, freedom of choice. Civilization demands conformity, but the soul requires freedom to choose what comes next. Exercise your free will. If we expect to be able to exercise freedom of choice for ourselves, then we must allow the same freedom to others. Therefore, the idea that we may require another person to act, feel, or think the same way that we do is false. There's, of course, despotism in the fields of politics and corporate commerce, and this is very unfortunate, yet the worst issue is at home. Parenting is so often coercive. It takes a remarkable emotional maturity to allow others to be the way they are and find our adjustment to them. This is so huge, and this is exactly what society needs right now. So moving on, deeper realizations enable us to get clearer about our ultimate motives. There are times when it is good to refuse to commit ourselves to any definite course of action and leave our options open. Sometimes we just cannot see what path is true and clear, and so it requires a delicate approach. A new moon that divides its influences is revealing itself as unsighted. Similarly, we may be dividing and therefore concealing our attention at the beginning of things, which may well have merit as long as we can finesse the situation. We can make a fine skill of uncertainty. An unthinking, instinctive outreach into the world may or may not actually contribute to a legitimate outcome. Firstly, we need to encounter deeper realizations and perhaps get clearer about our ultimate motives, and then carefully to live out our fullest response to what we feel is the right thing to do here and now. It is worth remembering that since the universality of larger concerns are enacted through smaller matters, personal initiative forms the basic dynamic in any collective scheme of things. And you'll hear me say that over and over on this channel. The way to make greater collective change is to first make the change within yourself. So even if we wait a while before acting, it is likely we will feel the urge to motivate ourselves sooner or later, perhaps even in response to something seemingly trivial. Sometimes our actions must be tentative until we achieve a sufficiently clear position of self-discovery so that we can act without ambiguity or confusion, which we definitely need in Pisces, right? Pisces can be confusing, and it's beautiful that the planet here that is embodying this message is Saturn, is that stability. Moving on, we seek to do the greatest good for all concerned with the least expenditure of effort, and yet, of course, we always favor our own agenda and try to make sure the cost to us is always outweighed by the potential benefit. Every emerging potentiality of self can be effectively developed through capitalizing on our ability to bring any state of affairs around to our advantage, kind of finding that silver lining in everything, not letting go of that victim mentality and thinking about what the lesson is here. Yet timing is crucial. It is best to wait until we are certain before making an irrevocable commitment, Saturn, to a specific path of progression. The risk is of a completely disruptive vacillation. Our sometime inability to decide must not be allowed to become a fickle way of life. All is then lost. Nothing good comes of this attitude to life. So we need to make decisions, but the biggest thing is if we expect to be able to exercise freedom of our choice for ourselves, then we must allow that same freedom to others. And there's a lot of this that needs to happen in the world right now. And Saturn is kind of helping. Saturn collectively is those institutions and things that are being dismantled and crumbled, right? And so we need to figure out how to build a foundation for the future with Saturn to allow a freedom of choice for everybody. But and I like this part too. It takes remarkable emotional maturity to allow others to be the way they are and find our adjustment to them, right? We all come to different truths. We all have experienced life differently. Therefore, we all have a different perception of things, right? The observer effect. How we observe life is true to us. How the person next to us observes life is completely different, and we have to figure out how to allow room for that. As long as we aren't harming each other, there should be room for all of it. And Saturn being retrograde in Pisces, we're still figuring that out, but at the end of the month it will be moving direct so that we can start to build these foundations. And I love that Saturn is moving direct first because it is the planet of like manifestation and building that solid foundation. Okay, so next we are going to look at Neptune is going to be within the 29th degree of Pisces the entire month. So we look to Pisces 30 here. So this is the great stone face, becoming our own ideal. There is no right answer to or best version of anything. We make it all up according to how we feel or think we should. We become whatever we idealize. That right there is a powerful statement in and of itself. Whatever we idealize, I mean, what we think, where we put our attention is what we become, right? And the 5 people around you is your greatest influence in what you will become. So if you don't like what you see with the 5 people that you surround yourself with the most, then it might be time to make a change, right? And if what you're idealizing is not where you find true value and stuff, you may want to look at that as well. Okay, so let's continue on. So instead of ending our journey, we find that we have become the seed of yet another cycle of experimentation. We idealize many things: love, truth, and God itself, for example, and this is how we become aware of our relationship with archetypes. The essential conundrum with which Plato and Aristotle wrestle without resolution is whether we create the archetypes or the archetypes create us. The exact same puzzle is posed in the Hindu scripture, the Mahabharata. Do we create God, or does God create us? This is the mystery of life, and simply put, it is that life is a mystery, a paradox, and not within our grasp to understand. Life, God, oneself are all beyond our comprehension, and yet divine curiosity to know more of the eternal paradox is the very motivation that began it all and keeps it all going. What we see when we look is nothing more and nothing less than our expectation. Again, we create our own reality. A rock formation is like a face is idealized by a boy who, as he grows up, begins to look like it. First imagine, then expect. So this is beautiful that this is where Neptune is, because Neptune fully embodies our imagination and dreaming what we want into reality, right? Neptune can be where we are deceived and delusional and seeing things with rose-colored glasses, but it is also our ability to dream the best life. And if we can idealize it, we can have it become us, right? So in a story by American author Hawthorne, there is a rock formation imagined to resemble the shape and features of a human face. Folklore suggests that one would be born whose features would resemble the great stone face and be recognized as the great and noblest personage of his time. The twist in the story is that a humble young man who sets out on a quest to find the hero ends up much later recognized as the hero himself. Yet he walks away still hoping that there would one day appear some wiser and better man than he. Each of us selects an image within to which we shape ourselves outwardly, and this is what we come to resemble. The great stone face represents the externalization of inner aspiration, which subsequently becomes our life goal. More than anything, we desire to realize in actuality the vision we create of the ideal person, who we would at all costs become. And in normal terms, we find someone to admire whom we wish to copy and eventually equal. This means constantly expressing the manifestation of our ideal as a normal way of life. Such unwavering integrity, or simply just being authentic, has an irresistible influence on the course of events. Our own self-idealization encourages others in their own alignment to eternal reality. This is impactful. Destiny is then seen as nothing more than character, as it most persistently constitutes itself. If we are confused or self-denying, then our creation can be no more than a wholly inarticulate, ineffectual self-denigration. Otherwise, it can be unsurpassed for perfection of human potential. All that depends on our self-created self-image and our consistent expression of that image into actuality. I read that sentence really strange. I'm sorry. It is the essence of human responsibility to act out our personal destiny, and this is an aspect of the immortality of the soul whenever the soul's destiny aligns with our personal destiny. Whether we can reach our optimal degree of self-expression depends upon the discernment of two things: envisioning and realizing. First, we must imagine. Then we must expect and stay true to that expectation. And that is, yes, beautiful. Having these planets go back into Pisces, dream what we want into with Saturn's help into reality. But then we are going to be moving forward into the 0 degrees of Aries, which is the I am. It's taking this envisioning at the last degree of Pisces, this dreamy energy, especially with Neptune there, expanding that energy basically. And then in the spring of next year, we will be having all these planets move into their new signs at the 0 degree point, and especially Saturn and Neptune in Aries, bringing this dream into reality. So we really are dreaming a new world, a new vision of us, and it all starts with us into reality. Okay, so the last one is Pluto at staying at 1 degree of Aquarius all month. So we round up and look at Aquarius 2. So this is an unexpected thunderstorm. So all in life is ephemeral. Even though we want to cement our lives into secure structures, nature always wins in the end. Submission to unforeseen and uncontrollable forces. Nature is a constant existential challenge to the works of people. Fires, floods, and winds tear down our strongest building in moments, and time itself erodes everything eventually. By this fact, we are reminded not only how small and insignificant we are, and how magnificent is any creation that stands against nature for a while, yet also we remember the need to develop inwardly the strength to cope with it all. With optimism and confidence, setbacks will always further our ends. So again, like I said before, I am one who loves finding the silver lining in things. I believe every challenge offers us an opportunity for learning and growth and more self-realization and all of those things. And that the challenges are put there for our growth and for our evolution. I don't really like to subscribe to victim mentality because it takes away our own personal power. And, there's a lot of chaos in the world right now. And I think sometimes, that chaos looks very ugly, but there is silver linings to it. I believe that there's always something good that can come out of whatever is going on, but we do have to be aware. We have to look at it. We have to look for the opportunities and things like that. Okay, so let's keep reading. Civilization has developed to protect us against the cruelty of nature, yet in the end we all have to take precautions against accidents and quicken ourselves in the presence of such primitive forces as thunderstorms. The storm image is appropriate on the psychological level too, as society also tries to mitigate emotional pain and inconvenience as much as possible. Nonetheless, it is more or less certain that we will be thoroughly inconvenienced in our lifetime by the shifting pattern of events in which we are obliged to participate. The appropriate attitude is one of alertness rather than complete temperamental instability. It is idiocy to shout threats at the thunder. In all the strands of a normal life, career, relationships, spirituality, and family, we will likely have to come to terms with the loss of love, of position, of health, and of our hopes, often as a result of an unexpected, unwelcome, forceful, or stormy event. It is better to recognize the positive aspect of crisis. Without it, opportunities for maximum self-development are rare, and the bonding convergence of relationship is absent. Life needs crisis to deepen. Life happens for us, not to us, is what I always say. The masterly approach is to seek out such events and chase the storms, so to harvest the juice they contain. With the right mind of optimism and confidence, we can call up our genius to create opportunity out of disaster, and use setbacks and even catastrophe to further our ends. Accidents, by their very nature, are unexpected, but only as to their timing and particularities. They are entirely predictable as to their inevitability, so we can prepare for them, train ourselves in how to respond to them, and take full responsibility for their implications in our lives. Nature's potentialities lie beyond our jurisdiction, so we must develop strategies for how to act when we are not in control. At an advanced level of understanding, we see that all control is an illusion anyway. Everything we plan is subject to modification, and the final mystery of life is accessed only through surrender. Thunderstorms, by their very unpredictability and awesome power, help us find our way towards this subtle, counterintuitive comprehension. The thing that was coming to my mind as I was reading this, not only society as a whole and everything, is that, there is this talk about this pole shift happening and things like that. And whether it's true or not, and there's preppers out there in the world and everything. And whether it's true or not, we do need to, be prepared for anything that can happen, really, right? And I think that's part of taking our sovereignty back, which some of these other ones talked about, right? Not giving up our control of ourselves to the hands of other people, but taking some control back ourselves, managing the risks of life, prepping in whatever ways we can, becoming financially stable in whatever ways we can, becoming food stable, learning these skills that our grandparents and great-grandparents and great-great-grandparents once knew, like how to grow their own food, how to prepare for the long winter season, how to prepare for storms and power outages and things like that. I think that is potentially going to become a reality of our existence, whether it's due to, AI taking all of our energy and water, or the weakening of our Earth's shield. I can't think of the right term, but and this potential pole shift and what that might mean and all those things, like learning how to take care of ourselves and learning to, society is crumbling right now. There's so much job loss. There's so much stuff just going on. And to look at it, not in this victim mentality, but how can we make the best of this? What can we do to make ourselves better because of this? And therefore, as we make ourselves better, we make society better. So that, I think, is a lot of what the opportunity of this month and this water Grand Trine is providing us. So I hope that's helpful. Now let's finally get into each of the individual forecasts. I think I will be doing those videos separately, since this one is about 45 minutes long already. So this is the collective overall November video, and then I will be releasing all 12 signs individually this month, because it is such a big month. Comment below with how this resonates with you, and I hope you will join. Hit the like, subscribe. It really does help me grow my channel. And for any other information, I have a Your First Astrology course in the description box below. I have a Patreon membership, and if you just want to help support me, as this does take a tremendous amount of time, which I am not earning a lot of money with yet, or really any at all. So if you could support the time that I put into creating these videos for you, but don't want to sign up for a course or anything like that, I do have a Buy Me a Coffee link in the description box below as well. So other than that, I hope you have a great November, and come back to this video and comment throughout the month how things are going for you and how everything is playing out.